We got it to work. I wonder, one mic is quite high up there. Right there in the front? Yeah, I'm not sure what that was.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Unless that's the wrong one, but...
I'm just going to tighten this camera, then I'm going to step back and we can take a few people.
Press conference at 11.
I know this. You're talking about that big ass. I have no idea. You're all here, but also that's here. Just like huh?
Whose microphone is this, guys? It's like huge. You don't have something that's like 4 inches short?
I don't have anything else to put it up there.
Does anybody else have something shorter they can put up there? Just like the mayor's fairly.
No, because this should be a straight up press conference.
Cleveland, Channel 3, yeah. Cool, okay.
Yeah.
Chuck, go into the shorty. Here's a shorty stuff. Check out.
What he was doing before.
Check your back. Bag in the back. Check your back. Hey, yo, you. Hey, sir, sound guy, right there.
A lot. All right. Thank you, sir.
Mic test 1 2 3. Mic test 1 2 3. We good? Everybody else need a mic test? You guys all good? All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Bye bye. Podium mic test for live shots, live feeds, live shows. Anybody? Mic test 1 2 3 from the podium. Everybody good? Everybody sounding great? Fine.
Oh, I see. Okay. Woo.
Let's just hope there's a tall person, man. I think we'll be all right.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
stuff. I just was trying to help out.
Appreciate it. Maybe make sure that this will.
Yeah, it'll fit even a big fat one too.
Quit picking on big fat ones.
Hey man, some people can't even get that.
You just pick that up gingerly, slide it out. You said you had some. That will fall. You're all right. I don't care what everybody else in this room says.
Do not let them. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Your stand's right behind you. Is that better? I haven't followed one. Hey, thank you so much.
I was just gonna put the boom right here too. That was.
No videos today, right, Chief? So, all right.
To the right. To the right.
You guys ready? Right there's good. I mean, I always use it early last night because Chief Bill was like doing a
But you guys
screen.
can balance out this because we don't have a screen to worry about.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley. This Monday morning, I think some of you I've seen as early as 5 a.m. this morning, and I'm glad you're here for this 11 o'clock briefing. Let me see who I have with me. City Manager Shelley Dickstein, Dayton City Commissioner Chris Shaw, from the Dayton Foundation, Michelle Lovely, obviously Chief Richard Beal, Fire Chief Payne. I have a thing of accidentally demoting people sometimes, so I'm trying to do better. And Dayton City Commissioner Jeff Mims. We've had a busy morning this morning. Just, been very impressed with the outpouring of the spirit of the community last night. Folks coming together in the Oregon District. The Oregon District is open. A lot of you who may not be from here will talk about how the Oregon District seems closed. Just a point of reference. It's a local-owned businesses, and so a lot of those local-owned businesses close regularly on Sunday and Monday. That is very typical for them. So if you're a regular in Dayton, you know which restaurants are open on Monday and which ones aren't. And the majority of them, that's their weekend. So I want you to make sure in your coverage. I've heard a couple of times when folks have said, well, they say it's open, but it seems to be closed. It's because it's Sunday and Monday. I know that some of the places are planning on opening just because of this on Monday, even though they're normally not open. But we are respecting what they have to do to go through as local businesses. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Beal next to just give an update. There's not much movement on the investigation this early, but wanted to see if he had give him some time for some comments this morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I do have just very brief update. I want to remind you that we are less than 36 hours into this incident and its investigation. Can confirm that if all the magazines that were recovered from the suspect were completely full, and we have not had a chance to examine that. We just know we have magazines with bullets in them, but if all of those were completely at full capacity, including the loose rounds found on the ground near him, as well as in a backpack that he carried, he would have had a maximum of 250 rounds in his possession at the time. We can confirm at least 41 spent shell casings from his weapon based on their location and his path of travel. That's at least 41. Because you could well understand, in a very dynamic and chaotic scene as this was, with people running through the crime scene, with first responders running through the crime scene, with emergency EMS traveling through the crime scene, evidence can be lost. So we can say at least 41 spent shell casings from the suspect. As it relates to the officers, we have recovered 45 caliber shell casings, 16.233 caliber shell casings, and 1 shotgun shell casing. In terms of the persons injured, we're getting different information from other sources of persons treated in a hospital. So we have previously said 27. There's some information as 32. I can confirm to you that there is at least 14 of those injured, whether that number is 27 or 32, at least that were injured through gunshot wounds. So many people were injured through other means in their flight from this very chaotic event. There are autopsies currently being completed by the coroner's office, so that is a process that is still undergoing, and it will be some time before the outcome of autopsies, and that's really all I have to share thus far this morning.
Next, I'm going to invite Fire Chief Payne to come forward and speak a little bit about some of the first responders from the fire EMS response.
Good morning, everybody. So at 1:07, Dayton Fire Department received their first dispatch to respond to the Oregon District. We responded with one fire crew and one medic, which is dispatch protocol for a shooting. Immediately upon arriving on the scene, we realized that we had multiple people down. We upgraded it to a mass casualty incident, which called for additional response personnel and command units, and then it was expanded once again shortly thereafter. Our crews transported five people to the hospital, be three from Medic 14, one from Medic 10, and actually Riverside Medic crew transported another. Many of those people that did make it to the hospital self-transported, and so we initiated our mass casualty protocol. We put command units in place. We did our triage and our treatment, and then we facilitated the transfers to the hospitals in a balanced manner so we didn't overload any one hospital. There are 37 total patients treated at area hospitals, and they resulted from injuries as a result of gunshot wounds, being trampled, and then lacerations from fleeing the scene and broken glass. As you're aware, they had 9 victims plus a shooter were pronounced at the scene, and as of 9 o'clock this morning, we have 11 victims still hospitalized. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Chief. Next, I'd like to invite Michelle Lovely to come forward to talk a little bit about what we're doing with the funds for the victims' families and those that have been affected by this incident. Michelle?
We've been approached by community members, companies, individuals, just tons of people wanting to know how they can help and what they can do. And once again, the Dayton community is just such a strong community. Unfortunately, after the tornadoes and now this, just the community shows once again that we're Dayton strong. So we have developed a fund at the Dayton Foundation, and anyone can give to that. It's the Dayton Oregon District Tragedy Fund, and the fund number is 8365. So you can give right on our website at daytonfoundation.org. You can also just send a check to the Dayton Foundation with that fund listed in the memo line. But we have had a lot of questions about how we're using the funds and how much we've collected, and we are just as anxious as all of you to get our arms around that. But we're less than 24 hours with our fund being open. So we are meeting actually today at noon to talk to, we've been approached by community foundations all across the United States who have unfortunately been through situations like this. So they're providing guidance to us, and we're also consulting with our Council on Foundations to find out how we should appropriately be managing these funds and making sure that they're put out into the community in the best way possible.
Okay, I'll now open it for questions.
Can I ask the Chief, do you have any greater clarity on the sister and the mutual friend of the gunman, and whether you talked to the mutual friend yet about that whole situation on the night?
We've had the opportunity to have some conversation. I will say there's just more conversation needed. I will not say at this point we have clarity of the entirety of that relationship.
You talked about how the three of them have separated at some point. Do the other two know when he brought the gun out? I mean, did he get the gun out of that car when they all three pulled out originally?
We have no information at this time to suggest that they were aware of the weapons or when they were introduced into this environment. So we have no information at this time.
Even when he left to get the weapons, were they in the trunk of the vehicle, or did he leave them in another location? And after they separated, did he go get it and come back?
Yeah, we don't have that determined with certainty. We do know the shotgun was recovered in the trunk, but exactly how they were transported to the scene has not been clarified.
And then what's the condition of the friend?
Pardon?
The condition of the companion is.
I believe he's still being treated in the hospital.
What ailment?
He received a gunshot wound to the lower torso.
Chief, you said it's only been 36 hours. At this point,
Less than. Yeah.
less than. So
Yeah.
how close are you at this point in your mind to establishing a motive?
Not close enough. Not close enough at all. We have a lot of evidence still to go through. Just based on where we're at now, we are not seeing any indication of race being a motive. But we are not through all the evidence. And so until we're through all the evidence, we cannot rule that out. But I'm saying we're not seeing any at this time that suggests race is a motive.
Mayor, Chief, can you, obviously this is your community, if you could, going to that visit last night, seeing all those people, I can't imagine the stress that you're under and the pain you feel for the community. Can you talk a little bit about your heart and what you've seen over the last few hours and what you've been dealing with?
Yeah, I think, I've spoken a lot about the grit and the determination of this community, and surely the 8 o'clock vigil was no different. Grieving is a process, and as the chief said, we're probably 35 hours into this process. But I have no doubt that this community and its resilience and its willingness to see through. We've seen through many things in this community, and I know that they'll come together. That we're coming together strong again here. I'm going to let Commissioner Mims and Commissioner Shaw answer this question as well.
It's very interesting. First of all, thank you all for being here. It's very interesting to see such a sea of so many people who had their hearts showing on their sleeves. Those who were concerned about the 9 victims, which I think was uppermost in terms of everyone's mind, thinking about them and thinking about their families. Having some of the ministers say some of the kind of things that they said that helped people understand our reasons for being here. Our goal is to provide as much safety as we can for our cities. We escaped 2 major tragedies in terms of a visit from a hate group back a couple of months ago, and we were able to escape even the 14 to 15 tornadoes without any loss of life as well. And then for this to come and hit us at such a hard time. And, we're all still emotional about this in terms of how we address these issues. And some who may know that when we start talking about assault weapons, being a Vietnam vet, and I understand clearly the damage that those type of weapons can inflict upon individuals. And they have no place in the hands of average everyday citizens. So we do need to have more work done at the federal and state level to make sure that we minimize these type of situations for the future. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with what the mayor and commissioner said. Mayor is right that grieving is a process, and we've had great sadness over the last many hours, but now it's really turning to anger. Anger about the lack of movement on gun control. We are not the first community that's been affected by this gun violence, and we won't be the last, but we have got to do something, and I think we're about the work now of pushing the legislature and the federal government to move on responsible gun control in this community and this country. So that's what I want to leave you with.
Thank you. Chief, I have a question. When he turned the corner and his sister and her friend were, do you think he targeted them, or was it an accident? Was he just spraying indiscriminately?
That's a question I've asked more than once, and I don't think we can know that for certainty. It seems to just defy believability he would shoot his own sister. But it's also hard to believe that he didn't recognize that was his sister. So we just don't know.
From talking to the companion, do you have any idea what time they originally got there and why they went that night to begin with?
And Josh, I don't have that information available. We believe we pieced some of that together. We have a lot of cellular information that we haven't gotten through yet. So we do know there was some communication once they separated. But I don't think we have all those timelines established yet.
Is the companion cooperating?
As best as I know.
Chief, as far as when he was headed towards Nav Habitat Inn and you talked about, thank goodness that he didn't get inside and off.
Yeah.
Do you have any information about an earlier incident in in the night that where he may have tried to get in earlier and been denied entry to that one?
Yeah, there was some information, I mean, early on, but I haven't been able to be a part of any conversations to tease that out and to clarify that, but I do know that was some indication of him being denied entrance, but I can't confirm that with certainty.
Has the companion spoken to investigators today?
Pardon?
Has the companion spoken to investigators?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is he slated to speak?
Not that I'm aware of. Again, there's a lot of other things that we're working on today, as well as our federal partners, which are expediting the transportation and analysis of digital evidence. So there's a lot more going on behind the scenes here than just following up with various individuals that we need to interview. So there's a lot of parts in motion.
So how much
Have you
is
seen
he
anything about the gunman being involved in a hit list, making a hit list in high school? Have you seen anything about that, a rape list?
Yeah, I know there's information out in the media. We're clearly exploring every possible piece of information we have. I'm a little bit reluctant, even if there's such evidence, to interpret it 10 years later as somehow this is indicative of what happened yesterday. So I think I would tell you the mistake that is made, and I understand your interest to try to get information out and to help people understand, by taking pieces of evidence and coming to a conclusion about its significance creates mistakes, large mistakes at times. I've seen it too often in national incidents. Piecemealing information does more to misinform than inform. So we really don't know until we have all the information, all the evidence available.
We'll take one more question. This guy right here.
We're wondering, you know, how many were hit by bullets and shrapnel versus trampled, and also would officers involved be made available for interviews at some point?
Yeah, the officers are still on administrative leave, so they're not going to be available for interviews. And I'm sorry, your first question was?
How many
we said 14 that we could confirm non-fatal that have been treated of the 2732, and I think, Jeff, you had a different number even. So clearly, a couple of dozen people who were treated for non-fatal injuries, 14 of which we can confirm were through gunshot wounds. Okay. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, I spoke with the president yesterday evening. He called, I think it was around 6:30 before the vigil. Okay, we'll appreciate you all being here. I know you'll be out and about on 5th Street and through the community. We're really going to take these as, yesterday we did like an every 3-hour clip. I don't want to keep on calling you in when we don't have anything new, and so the investigation will take longer. It'll take longer periods of time, so you'll hear from us the next time we do have something new to share.
Mayor, can we just have one more question with the chief?
Maybe.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
If I can answer, go ahead.
Okay. Chief, can you talk more about the acquisition of that firearm and your thoughts on your citizens owning such large magazines?
Yeah, it's problematic. It is fundamentally problematic. They have that level of weaponry in a civilian environment, unregulated, is problematic.
And his ability to purchase that online and bring it into your community?
And modify it to function as a rifle.
And how did he do that, Chief? That was the one thing.
I'm not the expert in it, but I can tell you that it was modified in essence to function like a rifle. That much I can tell you. I'm sure you can talk to experts out there that how that gets done, and to avoid any legal prohibitions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We're really done. We're done. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.